Like I said, Elijah is digging up the past, and he's helping them to remember, and he's reminding them of who they are and who God has called them to be. And then he brings it back to the present. And in verse 36, he prays this verse in 36. He says, "Prove today that you are God in Israel." Again in verse 37, "Answer me so that these people will know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have brought them back to yourself." Then you read on in the story, and it says, "Immediately the fire of the Lord flashed down from heaven and burned up the young bull, the wood and the stones and the dust. It even licked up all the water in the ditch. And when the people saw it, they fell on their faces and cried out, 'The Lord is God! The Lord is God!'" Did God do that just so he could prove that he's God? Partly, yes. Did God do that just so we could have this miraculous, huge, spectacular display to prove a point? Probably to an extent. But I think what God was doing here was he was reminding them of who he really was. He was trying to cut through their current situation and repair that collective memory that I've been talking about. Elijah was trying to awaken the people of Israel in order to create a new perception and a new reality of who they can be right then in the present, to change who they would be going forward. He needed to shut down the skewed, inaccurate memory and remind them of what really happened. Yes, like I said, the reality of our past shapes who we are, but our current situations, like I said, skew the past. And so I ask you, what memories do you have? What memories may you need to shut down? What memories do you need to be awakened to? What are some of those mile markers in your life that you can celebrate? I mean, I can remember some of the ones in my life, salvation and baptisms and rededication, when God called me to the ministry. But what about your lives? What are some of those mile markers, some of those past victories that you need to remember? At different times where God answered a prayer. How can we be awakened to the subtle ways and the more overt ways that God called us when God called us and worked in our lives in the past? How can we let an awakening of what God has done and is doing to shape what is happening now and to change our outlook for the future?